Beloved, there are seasons in life when the silence feels heavier than the struggle itself. You pray, you wait, you trust, and yet nothing seems to move. The days continue, the nights pass quietly, and your heart begins to wonder if heaven has heard your cry at all. But today, I want you to rest your weary soul in this truth. God has never ignored a single prayer that came from a sincere heart. Not one tear has fallen unnoticed. Not one moment of pain has escaped his loving eyes. Even in the waiting, God is working in ways too deep and too detailed for human understanding. There are things happening around you right now that you cannot yet see. The Lord is arranging circumstances. He is moving people into position. He is protecting you from paths that would have harmed you. He is delaying certain things because he sees what you cannot see. And though the waiting can feel painful, there is purpose even in the delay. God is not punishing you by making you wait. He is preparing you for something greater than you expected. Sometimes we think that if God truly loved us, answers would come immediately. We think miracles should happen overnight, and doors should open the moment we pray. But the Lord sees the full picture while we only see the present moment. He knows the timing that will protect your peace. He knows the season that will bring the greatest blessing into your life. He knows what needs to grow within you before certain prayers can fully bloom. There are blessings that require patience because they carry weight and purpose. There are miracles that need the right timing because they will change the direction of your life forever. And while you are waiting, heaven is not silent because God has abandoned you. Heaven is silent because God is carefully weaving together details that your future will one day thank him. For beloved, trust is often built in quiet places. Faith grows strongest when there is no visible evidence to hold on to except the promises of God. It is easy to praise when prayers are answered quickly. It is easy to believe when doors are opening without resistance. But true faith rises when you continue trusting even while standing in uncertainty. True faith whispers, "Lord, even if I do not understand this season, I still believe you are good." There may be someone listening right now who feels emotionally exhausted from carrying unanswered prayers for too long. You have smiled in front of people while privately battling discouragement. You have encouraged others while your own heart quietly aches for breakthrough. You have stayed faithful even when disappointment tried to settle heavily upon your soul. And today, the Lord wants you to know that your faithfulness has not gone unseen. God sees the mornings when you woke up with heaviness in your chest and still chose to pray. He sees the nights when you cried quietly into your pillow because you were too tired to explain your pain to anyone else. He sees every effort you made to keep believing when circumstances gave you every reason to quit. And heaven honors the heart that continues trusting even through tears. The waiting season is not empty, it is sacred. Because during the waiting, God teaches us dependence. He teaches us surrender. He gently removes the illusion that we can control everything ourselves. He draws us closer to his heart. He teaches us to lean on his strength instead of our own understanding. Sometimes the greatest miracle is not the blessing itself, but the transformation that happens within your spirit while you wait for it. There are parts of your heart being healed right now. There are fears being softened. There are wounds being restored. There are lessons being planted deeply into your character that will carry you through future seasons. Beloved, never confuse stillness with absence. Just because you cannot see movement does not mean God is inactive. Seeds grow beneath the soil long before anything becomes visible above the ground. Roots deepen quietly before trees rise strongly toward the sky. And in the same way, God often works invisibly before the miracle finally appears in your life. There are prayers you prayed months ago that are still unfolding right now. There are doors God closed because they would have led you into heartbreak. There are relationships he removed because they could not carry you into your future. There are delays that protected your peace. And one day, you will look back and realize that what felt like rejection was actually divine protection, wrapped in temporary disappointment. The Lord is teaching you not to place your trust in circumstances, but in His unchanging character. Circumstances shift constantly, emotions rise and fall, people change, plans fail, but God remains faithful through every season. His promises do not weaken with time. His love does not grow tired. His mercy does not run out. Even now, while you are listening to these words, God is already present in tomorrow. He already knows how your story unfolds. He already knows the prayer that will finally be answered. He already knows the breakthrough waiting ahead. And because He sees the ending from the beginning, you can rest knowing that your life is safely held in His hands. Beloved, some of the greatest blessings arrive after the longest waiting seasons. Not because God enjoys watching His children struggle, but because certain blessings require preparation. Imagine receiving something wonderful before your heart was ready to steward it. Imagine doors opening before you had the wisdom to walk through them. Sometimes the delay itself is part of God's kindness. There are moments when God lovingly slows things down because He wants to protect you from unnecessary pain. There are times when He says, "Not yet," because He sees storms ahead that you cannot yet recognize. And though your heart may not fully understand the reason now, one day clarity will come gently, like morning light. Until then, trust Him in the unknown. Trust Him when prayers feel unanswered. Trust Him when doors remain closed. Trust Him when your strength feels weak. Trust Him when fear tries to convince you that nothing will ever change, because God has never failed to complete what He began. There is a quiet beauty in surrendering your timeline to God. Human hearts naturally want certainty. We want guarantees. We want immediate reassurance that everything will work out exactly the way we hope. But faith invites us into something deeper than certainty. Faith invites us into relationship. It invites us to know God not merely as a provider of blessings, but as a loving Father who walks beside us through every season. Sometimes God allows waiting because He wants your heart to discover peace that is not dependent upon circumstances, a peace rooted deeply in His presence, a peace that remains steady even when answers have not yet arrived, a peace that whispers, "The Lord is with me, therefore I will not be shaken." Beloved, there are miracles happening around you right now that you may not even recognize. Protection is a miracle. Waking up this morning is a miracle. Strength to keep going is a miracle. Peace in the middle of uncertainty is a miracle. Sometimes we become so focused on one specific answer that we overlook the countless ways God is already sustaining us every single day. Take a moment today to remember how many times God has already carried you through difficult seasons. There were moments you thought you would never survive, yet here you are. There were prayers you once cried desperately that God eventually answered in ways more beautiful than you imagined. There were storms that felt endless, yet somehow His grace held you together through them all. The same God who sustained you then is sustaining you now. The same God who opened doors before can open them again. The same God who healed your heart before can heal it again. The same God who made a way before can make a way again. Your current waiting season is not evidence that God has changed. His love for you remains constant. His plans for you remain good. His mercy continues fresh every morning. Beloved, release the pressure to have everything figured out today. You do not need to carry tomorrow's burdens all at once. You do not need to solve every uncertainty tonight. God never asked you to carry the weight of the entire future upon your shoulders. He simply asks you to walk with Him one day at a time, and as you walk with Him daily, something beautiful begins to happen. Fear slowly loses its grip. Anxiety softens. Peace begins to settle more deeply within your spirit, not because every problem disappears instantly, but because you begin to realize that you are not carrying your burdens alone anymore. The Lord is walking beside you through every unanswered question. He is beside you in every hospital waiting room. He is beside you through financial uncertainty. He is beside you through grief and disappointment. He is beside you when loneliness feels heavy. He is beside you when exhaustion clouds your mind. He is beside you when hope feels fragile. And because He is with you, you can continue forward with quiet confidence. Beloved, do not allow disappointment to harden your heart. It is understandable to feel weary after long seasons of waiting. It is understandable to feel discouraged when prayers seem delayed. But guard your heart carefully against bitterness, because bitterness quietly steals peace, while trust keeps your spirit open to the goodness of God. God still has beautiful things prepared for your future. There are still prayers that will become testimonies. There are still tears that will turn into joy. There are still doors waiting to open. There are still miracles moving toward your life. And even now, the Lord is gently strengthening your faith for what is ahead. Faith does not mean pretending the waiting is easy. Faith simply means choosing to believe that God remains faithful even while you wait. It means continuing to pray when answers feel distant. It means continuing to hope when circumstances seem unchanged. It means placing your trembling heart into God's hands again and again until peace slowly rises above fear. Beloved, heaven is not rushing because heaven is never late. God's timing moves with perfect wisdom. Human timing is often shaped by emotion, urgency, and limited understanding. But God's timing flows from eternal perspective. He knows exactly when your breakthrough will arrive. He knows the perfect moment for your answered prayer to unfold. And when that moment finally comes, you will realize that God was faithful all along. You will see how He protected you during the waiting. You will see how He strengthened your spirit. You will see how He carried you through nights of uncertainty. You will see how He quietly prepared blessings beyond what you originally imagined. Until then, breathe deeply and rest your heart in His care. You do not need to force what God has already ordained. You do not need to fear what tomorrow may hold. You do not need to carry every burden by yourself. The Lord who created the stars also watches lovingly over your life. He knows your name. He knows your pain. He knows your prayers. And He knows exactly how to bring beauty from every difficult season you have walked through. Beloved, keep trusting even when progress feels slow. Some of God's most precious work happens gradually. Healing often comes gently. Restoration unfolds layer by layer. Growth develops quietly over time. And faith deepens little by little through daily surrender. One peaceful prayer at a time. One faithful step at a time. One surrendered moment at a time. God is still writing your story with tenderness, wisdom, and perfect love. And no delay, no disappointment, and no difficult season can stop the plans He has already prepared for your life, tonight, tomorrow, and every day ahead. May your heart remember this truth whenever fear begins to rise again. Your miracle is closer than you think. And the God who promised to carry you will never leave your side, beloved. There are moments when God begins to move in your life so quietly that you almost miss the miracle while it is unfolding. Not every blessing arrives with thunder and noise. Sometimes favor enters your life gently, like the morning sunlight slowly filling a dark room. Sometimes breakthrough begins with a small conversation, an unexpected opportunity, a peaceful feeling in your spirit, or a door opening that once seemed permanently closed. And today, I want you to know that heaven is already moving in ways you may not yet fully recognize. God's favor does not always look dramatic in the beginning. Often, it starts in hidden places. It starts behind scenes you cannot see. The Lord begins aligning people, circumstances, timing, and opportunities with quiet precision. While you are praying, waiting, and simply trying to remain faithful, God is already preparing answers beyond your understanding. The favor of God can reach places your own strength never could. It can open doors that qualifications alone cannot open. It can create peace in situations that once felt impossible to fix. There are seasons when you may feel overlooked by people, but never mistake human rejection for divine abandonment. Sometimes God allows certain doors to close because He is preparing a better path for your future. Sometimes people walk away because they are not meant to accompany you into the next chapter of your life. And while those moments may hurt deeply, God's favor often protects us through closed doors just as much as through open ones. Beloved, favor is not merely about receiving things. True favor is the evidence of God's hand resting upon your life. It is His grace carrying you through situations that should have defeated you. It is His peace sustaining you when anxiety tried to overwhelm your mind. It is His wisdom guiding you when confusion surrounded your decisions. Favor is knowing that even in difficult seasons, heaven is still involved in your story. There may be someone listening right now who feels stuck. You have prayed for change, but life still feels heavy. You have asked God for open doors, yet everything around you seems delayed, and quietly, discouragement has started whispering that maybe nothing will ever shift. But today, I believe the Lord wants to breathe fresh hope into your heart again. Just because you cannot yet see movement does not mean heaven is inactive. God often works beneath the surface before visible breakthrough appears. Like seeds growing beneath the soil, miracles can begin long before human eyes recognize them. The Lord may already be arranging opportunities that have not yet reached your doorstep. He may already be softening hearts, opening pathways, removing obstacles, and preparing answers while you continue waiting faithfully. Beloved, do not underestimate what God can do suddenly after a long season of waiting. One phone call can change your future. One conversation can restore hope. One opportunity can shift an entire season of your life. One unexpected blessing can remind you that heaven never forgot your prayers. And while waiting can feel painful, never assume that silence means absence. God is often closest when everything feels uncertain. There is favor being prepared for your life that cannot be stopped by human limitations. What God has ordained for you will not pass you by. Fear cannot cancel it. Delay cannot destroy it. Even your own moments of weakness cannot erase the plans God lovingly prepared for your future before you were even born. Sometimes we become so focused on our failures and imperfections that we struggle to believe God could still bless us. We remember our mistakes. We replay our regrets. We carry shame quietly within our hearts. But beloved, God's favor is not earned through perfection. It flows from His mercy, His grace, and His love for His children. The Lord already knows every weakness you carry, and still He chooses to walk beside you. He knows every tear you have cried. He knows every battle you have fought silently. He knows the fears you hide behind your smile. Yet none of these things have changed His love for you. None of these things have cancelled His plans for your life, beloved. There are blessings ahead that will make sense of the waiting seasons you once struggled to understand. There are moments of peace coming that will heal places within your heart that have carried exhaustion for too long. There are doors preparing to open that no human hand will be able to shut. And when those blessings finally arrive, you will realize that God was faithfully working all along. Sometimes favor appears as strength to survive difficult days. Sometimes favor appears as peace during uncertainty. Sometimes favor appears as wisdom to walk away from unhealthy situations. Sometimes favor appears as protection from paths that would have wounded your spirit. And sometimes favor appears as unexpected breakthrough after long periods of silence. Beloved, the favor of God carries a peace that human striving can never create. When we try to force doors open through fear and desperation, our hearts become restless. But when God opens doors, there is often a deep sense of peace accompanying the opportunity. Even in uncertainty, your spirit begins to feel gently led rather than pressured by anxiety. This is why prayer matters so deeply. Prayer keeps our hearts connected to the wisdom of God. Prayer calms the noise of fear. Prayer reminds us that we are not fighting life's battles alone. And as you continue bringing your heart before the Lord daily, He will guide your steps with quiet faithfulness. Beloved, there may be moments when favor does not arrive in the package you expected. Sometimes God answers prayers differently than we imagined because His plans are higher than our understanding. There are things we once begged for that would have eventually harmed us. There are opportunities we mourned losing that God intentionally removed for our protection. And looking back later, we realize that His wisdom was carrying us, even when disappointment clouded our perspective. Trust the heart of God even when you cannot fully understand His timing. Trust His love when life feels uncertain. Trust His direction when the path ahead seems unclear, because the Lord who sees the end from the beginning knows exactly how to lead you toward peace. Beloved, favor often grows quietly through obedience in small moments. Sometimes we wait for dramatic miracles while overlooking the simple daily steps God places before us. But heaven often moves through ordinary faithfulness. A kind word, a patient spirit, a surrendered prayer, a willing heart. God honors humble obedience more than impressive appearances. There is beauty in remaining faithful during hidden seasons. Long before anyone notices growth in your life, God sees it clearly. He sees every effort you make to keep trusting Him. He sees the way you continue praying despite disappointment. He sees your quiet acts of love, forgiveness, and perseverance. Nothing done in faithfulness is ever wasted in the kingdom of God. Beloved, comparison can quietly steal peace from your spirit. It is easy to look around and wonder why others seem to receive blessings faster while your own prayers remain unanswered. But every life unfolds according to a unique divine timing. God is not rushing your story because He is carefully shaping it with wisdom and purpose. The blessings meant for your life do not belong to someone else, and the blessings meant for someone else do not diminish what God has prepared for you. There is no need to compete for what heaven has already assigned to your path. Rest in the confidence that what God has ordained for you will arrive at the right time. Beloved, there are moments when God allows weakness so that you will learn dependence upon Him instead of relying entirely upon your own strength. Human effort has limits, but God's grace carries power beyond what we can accomplish alone. Sometimes, favor appears precisely when we finally surrender the exhausting pressure to control everything ourselves. The Lord never asked you to carry your future alone. He never asked you to solve every uncertainty overnight. He never expected you to walk through life without needing His guidance. This is why His presence matters more than immediate answers. Because even before circumstances change, His presence brings peace strong enough to sustain your heart through every season. Beloved, there is favor resting upon your life even now. You may not fully recognize it yet, because fear and exhaustion sometimes cloud our vision. But pause for a moment and remember how many times God has already protected you. Remember the situations you survived that should have broken you completely. Remember the prayers He already answered in previous seasons. Remember the unexpected doors that opened when you thought hope was gone. The same God who carried you before is carrying you now. The same God who made a way before is still making a way today. The same God who sustained you through yesterday's pain will sustain you through tomorrow's uncertainty. Beloved, do not lose heart simply because the process feels slow. Some miracles unfold gradually. Some blessings require preparation. Some doors open only after your spirit has developed the wisdom and maturity to walk through them with peace. God is not delaying your future to harm you. He is preparing you for what is coming. There are conversations He is arranging. There are opportunities He is aligning. There are burdens He is removing. There are lessons He is teaching. And all of it is working together with divine precision, even when you cannot yet see the full picture. Beloved, there is a softness that comes over the soul when we finally surrender our timeline to God. The constant striving begins to loosen. The fear slowly quiets. The need to control every outcome starts fading. And in its place comes a deeper trust that whispers, "Lord, I know you are leading me even now." This kind of trust brings rest to weary hearts. It allows peace to settle gently within your spirit. It reminds you that your future does not depend solely upon your own abilities. Your life rests safely in the hands of a faithful God. Beloved, expect goodness again, expect peace again, expect joy again, expect healing again, expect breakthrough again. Not because life will always be perfect, but because God remains faithful through every season. Do not allow disappointment to convince you that beautiful things are no longer possible for your life. Heaven still has surprises prepared for you. There are still prayers waiting to become testimonies. There are still blessings that will arrive unexpectedly and remind you how deeply loved you truly are. And when favor begins unfolding in your life, do not forget to remain humble and grateful. Every blessing is an opportunity to reflect the goodness of God. Every open door becomes a testimony of His faithfulness. Every answered prayer becomes a reminder that heaven hears even the quiet cries of weary hearts. Beloved, God's favor is not fragile. Human rejection cannot destroy it. Delays cannot cancel it. Fear cannot overpower it. What the Lord has spoken over your life remains secure in His hands. Even now, while you are quietly listening to these words, heaven is moving with loving precision over your future. Things are aligning beyond your awareness. Doors are being prepared. Peace is being restored. Strength is rising again within your spirit. And one day, you will look back over this season and realize that even during the waiting, even during the uncertainty, and even during the moments when you almost lost hope, God's favor was surrounding you the entire time.